So friends, Donald Trump's dirty DOJ officials are at it again, abusing governmental power and continuing to violate the due process rights of, you guessed it, Abrego Garcia. Let's talk about that because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, you may recall that on Friday, Abrego Garcia walked out of a Tennessee prison where he was being held on some trumped up criminal charges in Tennessee, and he was released. He was released by the judge because he and his lawyers beat the hapless DOJ attorneys in a motion seeking to detain him. They lost, he won, he was released, a free man, and he traveled home to Maryland to be with his wife and his children. And then, on Monday, they grabbed him up again, detained him. But Abrego Garcia is still fighting. Let's turn to the new reporting. This from NBC News. Headline, Kilmar Abrego Garcia taken into ICE custody, but judge blocks deportation for now. And that article begins, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who reunited with his family last week after 160 days apart following his mistaken deportation to El Salvador, was taken into ICE custody Monday after an immigration check-in, but a judge later ruled that he cannot be deported for now. The check-in with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Baltimore was part of the conditions of his release Friday from federal custody after Trump's DOJ lost the motion to detain him in that trumped-up criminal case down in Tennessee. My editorial edition. While such meetings are usually routine and meant for case updates, Abrego's attorneys had expected he would be taken into ICE custody after the Trump administration announced over the weekend its intention to deport him to Uganda. This from his attorney. Quote, there was no need to take him into ICE detention. The only reason they took him into detention was to punish him for using his constitutional right to speak up and fight proceedings, said Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, one of Abrego's attorneys. Abrego filed a new lawsuit in federal district court for the District of Maryland, seeking to ensure that he is not removed from the United States pending his immigration proceedings. The lawsuit asked a Maryland federal judge to issue an order that Abrego would not be allowed to be deported from the United States unless he is given proper due process to fight his potential deportation. The suit challenges Abrego's deportation to Uganda or any other country unless and until he's had a fair trial. At a hearing Monday afternoon, U.S. District Judge Paula Sines ordered that Abrego must remain detained in the U.S., temporarily blocking his deportation to Uganda until she holds an evidentiary hearing. Abrego, of course, as you well know, was mistakenly deported to El Salvador in March in violation of a 2019 court order. After much legal resistance, he was returned to the U.S. in June and hit with human smuggling charges out of Tennessee, which he pleaded not guilty to. And friends, here's where Donald Trump's DOJ gets even cruddier, if that's possible. They essentially threaten Abrego Garcia, saying, look, if you don't plead guilty to that criminal case down in Tennessee, which sure looks like trumped-up charges when this old prosecutor read the indictment based on a 2022 traffic stop in which Abrego Garcia didn't receive so much as a traffic ticket. These look like trumped up charges. And Trump's DOJ says if you don't plead guilty, we're going to send you to Uganda. But if you do plead guilty, we'll send you to Costa Rica. Boy, does that feel like an improper, unconstitutional threat in violation of Abrego Garcia's due process rights. All my editorial edition. The article continues. The Trump administration offered Abrego a plea deal last week. His lawyers said in a Saturday court filing that was part of their efforts to get the charges in Tennessee dropped over what they consider to be vindictive and selective prosecution. I also consider it to be vindictive prosecution based on what we know thus far. If he, Abrego Garcia, pleads guilty to the federal charges out of Tennessee and serves time, he can be deported to Costa Rica. The Costa Rican government said he'd live as a free man there, according to the court filing. Abrego's lawyer, Sandoval Maschenberg, said his client would not accept the deal, as Abrego, quote, will not accept charges of which he's not guilty. This means the agreement to be deported to Costa Rica could be off the table. In other words, if you don't plead guilty to something that you maintain you didn't do, well, Costa Rica's off the table, and it is off to Uganda with you. Abrego's attorneys rebuffed the Trump administration's apparent attempt to strong-arm him. And Abrego Garcia's case was up in court today in Maryland with Judge Sines presiding. You'll recall Judge Sines is the one who originally ordered the Trump administration to facilitate the release and return of Abrego Garcia to the United States after the Trump administration unlawfully and unconstitutionally deported him to El Salvador and had him imprisoned down there where he was tortured. You'll probably also recall that Judge Sines' order to facilitate his release and return was affirmed by the Court of Appeals and was affirmed by the United States Supreme Court. Well, this is what Judge Sines said in court today, Monday afternoon, as posted by Politico's Kyle Cheney. Judge Sines said she has serious concerns about the claim that DOJ pressured Abrego into a guilty plea by offering him deportation to Costa Rica and threatening deportation to Uganda if he refused. The DOJ attorney, Drew Ensign, says Abrego's deportation is not imminent, given the pace of third country removals. Judge Sines emphasizes to the DOJ lawyer, Ensign, your clients are absolutely forbidden at this juncture to remove Mr. Abrego Garcia from the continental United States. And the DOJ attorney responds, Your Honor, yes, we certainly understand that. So friends, let's just recap. Donald Trump's dirty DOJ lawyers tell Abrego Garcia, plead guilty to something you didn't do, and we'll send you to Costa Rica. But defy us? Refuse to plead guilty? Demand a trial, as is your constitutional right? Then we are going to ship you off to Uganda. And friends, just for kicks, let's look at the U.S. State Department's travel advisory for Uganda. Reconsider travel to Uganda due to crime, terrorism, and laws targeting persons on the basis of sexual orientation. Exercise increased caution due to potential security risks and the unpredictable nature of public demonstrations. This includes demonstrations by political groups leading up to the January to February 2026 elections. there remains a threat of terrorist attacks in Uganda. The good news, friends, it looks like Judge Sines will have a little something to say about DOJ's strong-arm tactics. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.